No matter who you are, where you're from, your ethnic background, your race, your color, your gender, your belief system, one thing that we can all agree on is this. The year 2020, with all its ups and downs, was definitely life altering. 2020 for me was a year of many lessons. In this video, I'll be sharing with you some of the biggest life lessons that I've learned from the year 2020. Lesson number 1. Be prepared for anything, for life can be unpredictable. You know what? For me, this was one of those things that I grew up hearing, that, oh, life is so unpredictable. Life can change any moment. Things can totally go in a different direction and so on and so forth. But I never really experienced it firsthand like I did in 2020. 2020 just hit me with a force that I wasn't ready for. Never in my wildest dreams did I think things would turn upside down like they did in 2020. I must confess, I really wasn't ready for it. Everything that I was used to, everything that I was comfortable with, was completely changed, and I found myself in an unfamiliar territory. Nothing was the same anymore. From the way we do business, to the way we interact with each other, quarantine, social distancing, self-isolation. It really taught me that life can throw a curveball at you any given moment without a notice. If you don't learn to adapt quickly, you will find yourself out of the frying pan and straight into the fire. The greatest lesson for me in all of this was this: just stay prepared. Things can change any moment, and that is definitely one lesson that I'm not going to forget anytime soon. Cherish your loved ones and appreciate them while you still can. There was just way too much loss. For some of us, 1 minute you'd be with your loved ones, and the next moment they are gone. If there ever was a perfect example of why we should never take our loved ones for granted, it was definitely the year 2020. Life is just way too short for unnecessary drama, bitterness, pettiness, unforgiveness. It's important for us to extend grace to each other, to forgive one another, to be patient with each other. Another important lesson that I also learned from this past year is that we need to boldly go after our goals in life. Let me tell you something. Towards the end of the year, I had my own little scare where I was exhibiting some symptoms which really stressed me out. I was thinking to myself, if this is the end, then there are just so many things that I wish I had done, but I never gave myself the opportunity to do those things. Everything that was going on around me only proved to show me one thing. I got a better understanding of why time is so valuable and cannot be replaced by anything. It was also one of the reasons that finally pushed me to start a YouTube channel. I had always wanted to have my own YouTube channel for the longest time, but for some reason, I kept on procrastinating about it. I was worried about so many petty things that are not even important today. I learned how important it is to go after our goals as soon as possible because we really don't have as much time as we think we do. 2020 also taught me the importance of mental health and self-love. If you don't enjoy your own company, and if you are not comfortable with being by yourself or alone with your thoughts, it was a very difficult year for you. For me, it was a time when I found myself spending a lot of time by myself. And this naturally forced me to do a lot of introspection. And you start to realize that you have a lot of pending issues, maybe some things that you didn't deal with that you need to deal with, some people that maybe you need to confront so you can move forward with your life. And it was a revealing year, so to speak. I just realized a lot about myself. I realized a lot about where I was mentally. I don't know about you, but for me, I was forced to really dig and search deep within myself to find and address those areas that needed healing, that needed closure, that needed me to do something so I could move forward with my life. 2020 taught me to be honest with myself. Because there was so much that was going on, it had a way of separating the chaff from the grain, so to speak. I just found myself in a position where I was assessing my relationships with people. What was important, meant what to me. Probably the biggest lesson that I learned from the past year is that financial literacy and financial health is very, very important. Everyone knows that the pandemic resulted not only in a loss of opportunities, but also massive loss of jobs and incomes. All of a sudden, we all had to confront our financial situations, myself included. I learned the importance of being smarter when it comes to making financial decisions. I promise you, whenever I found myself lacking this past year, I regretted all the money that I've wasted in the past. It also taught me to be very minimalistic when it comes to spending money. Like, I guess it goes with what I was saying previously. Before you make any purchase decisions, ask yourself this: do you really, really need to buy that thing? And for me, it was not something that I was used to doing, but 2020 taught me that if you are not very careful with how you spend your money, you are definitely going to find yourself in trouble. And I also learned that it's very important to have multiple streams of income. And I'm sure that this is a lesson that many of us out there also learned. Especially if you found yourself just out of your only source of income. You had to think very fast on your feet, especially if you didn't have any savings. Like, how am I going to make it? And for me, it was just an indication that you really need multiple streams of income, so that should anything happen with any of those streams, you will still be sorted financially. And I also learned that it's important to save. So I will be improving my saving habits definitely in this new year. The last life lesson, and probably the most important one that I learned from the year 2020, is that it's okay to ask for help. I had a situation that I'm not going to get into right now that I found myself in. And because I didn't have access to the usual resources or people that I usually have access to, I learned to ask for help. I had to resort to using social media to let my friends and family know what was going on with that situation and what kind of help I needed. Thankfully, people came through for me, and I am so grateful. But if it wasn't for 2020, I would have probably not learned to be comfortable with asking for help. And I'm so glad that I learned that lesson, because moving on into the future, I would definitely never allow myself to feel overwhelmed all by myself. And I will always reach out whenever I need help, because there is always someone out there to help. My question to you is, what is the biggest life lesson that the year 2020 has taught you? Remember, your life is a gift. Make it count always. See you on the next video.